Hello guys, we're going to make some bourbon onions now. It's just going to go with our steak later. I've just got a whole onion there. I've just top and tailed the bottom off of it. I'm going to show you what to do with it now. Just make sure we peel the onion whole, because we're going to take nice big chunks out of it, okay? And we're going to cut it in half. We're going to cut them in half again. So we've got some nice big steaks. I'm going to put them in a dry non-stick pan. So no olive oil, no anything. I'm going to do the same with this one. Into the pan. I'm going to pop him from cold on a high flame. Okay guys, so we've got the onion in the pan. I've got some Ceylon there, a little bit of date honey. I've got a nice bit of Woodford Reserve, my favourite bourbon. I've got some sage, a little bit of garlic and some thyme. I'm just going to start the onions in the pan. I've just added a touch of oil to the pan. I'm starting to get a char because I can smell it in the onions. So I'm just going to flip these onions over a little bit, okay? That's what I'm looking for, a nice bit of black on the onions, okay? Just a nice char. We're going to look to get the same on that side. I'm going to add some bourbon and just flambe it. And then we're just going to get everything into this smaller pan and then braise it in the oven with a little bit of foil, okay? Okay guys, so I'm going to just flambe the onion a little bit now. Probably want a good shot of bourbon in there. I'm just going to catch that alive, see? Lush. I'm trying to burn the apartment down. So the alcohol's burnt off that, it's done its job. I'm going to add some water. And at this point I'm going to put the herbs in and the garlic. I'm going to take the onions out, okay? Just going to build the onions into the small pan next to me, very gently. Don't break the onions up, keep those rings nice like they are now, okay? Then we're going to heat this on the stove. Warning. Fire, fire, fire. A little bit for the chef. We're going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a touch more salt. I'm going to add maybe just a touch more water, just so we can cover those onions nicely. Then I'm going to add my Ceylon, guys, okay? So with the Ceylon, I'm looking for a good couple of tablespoons, all right? It's going to give us a nice sweet and sour flavour. And we're going to bring the balance back with a bit of salt and some tahini in the finished dish, okay? And then I'm going to bring him up to the boil. You can use chicken stock for this if you want a slightly more powerful stock, but I really want to bring out the flavour of the onion. So just by adding water, I'm going to allow it to make almost like an onion stock, all right? I'm going to add a nice knob of butter. And we're going to bring that up to the boil, reduce it slightly, then add it to the onions. Okay, now the liquid's cooking down nicely. I'm going to give it just a touch longer. I'm going to pour it over the onions. Alright guys, so the liquid's cooked down nicely. I'm just going to add it into this pan here. Let it cook down a touch more. Make sure I get all the herbs and everything inside. I'm going to boil it before I add it into the oven. That's important because then we start the braise as soon as it goes in the oven, okay? Okay guys, so that's now come up to the boil. The onions are there, the liquid's boiling up nicely. So I'm just going to cover with a little baking parchment. That's going to protect the onions when we roast them in the oven. I'm just going to close a piece of foil around that pan. Just be careful. A good little tip is to put a cloth on top and then just close it in like that, all right? Especially when you take it out of the oven, that you don't get any steam escaping, all right? It's going to go in the oven 325 for about an hour, hour and a half, okay? Okay guys, so the onion has been in the oven for about an hour and 15 minutes. Have a look at the onion from the pan itself. So they're braised down nicely, they're nice and soft. Now if you look, the liquid is quite watery, so I'm going to show you what to do at this point. We're just going to add that to the bowl. Quick little bit of hummus technique. I don't like to go too thick with the tahini for this dish. I like it a little bit thinner. Now I've got the onions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the onions out, but leave the sauce behind, okay? So you'll see why in a minute. I'm just going to pop those down like that. And if you look at the onions, they're beautiful and tender. Yes, that's what we're looking for. And what we're going to do is we're going to juice some of the liquid out of it so it becomes thick. Now I'm going to introduce a little butter. This is going to give it a nice richness and a good glaze. And you want it to coat the back of a spoon. Some on the plate, a little seasoning to finish. And then I just add some crispy onions. We're going to just show you a quick video on how to do the crispy onions as well, guys. It's very easy. And that's it, good to go. Bourbon onions, great with a steak, great with chicken livers, great with pretty much anything if I'm honest. Really nice with hummus. I'm going to teach you how to make some hummus next week. Okay, bourbon onions, lush.